Shalom, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today I want to talk to you about the land of the Gadarenes. This can be found in the Gospel accounts of Matthew chapter 8, Mark chapters 4 and 5, and Luke chapter 8. Now, the land of the Gadarenes in the Gospel accounts is actually Gadite territory, hence the name Gad, Gadarenes. You may recall that this is the place where Yeshua cast out the legion of demons from the man who lived among the tombs and allowed these demons to go into a herd of swine who, like lemmings, took a swan dive off the cliff and drowned into the Sea of Galilee. Now, there is a preposterous barrage of purposeful misinformation being dished out by archaeologist Simcha Jacobovici, and he's trying to plant seeds of doubt within the mind of the believer who says that Yeshua went to Spain, and that's where he cast out the legion of demons from the demoniac. But if that were so, that would mean that the scriptures and the plain text of the scriptures in the original Aramaic, Greek, and Hebrew are in error, and we know that the scriptures are inerrant. So Simcha says that there are three places in Israel which are traditionally said to be the place where Yeshua cast out the demons from the possessed man: Kursi, Hippos, and Gadara. Now, his requirements, as he reads these gospel accounts, that there must be cliffs and there must be tombs nearby. Now, Kursi has cliffs but no tombs, Hippos has no cliffs but tombs, and Gadara meets the criteria that has cliffs and tombs, but he says that the problem is that the cliffs are too far away, and that Mark's account would seem to indicate that the tombs and the cliffs are actually side by side. However, cliffs are not a requirement, for in the Greek, Aramaic, and Hebrew of the Gospels, a steep hill is indicated according to Matthew chapter 8:32. So we're not necessarily dealing with a sheer cliff here, as most people would assume. He also argues that the boats used on the Sea of Galilee were too small for Yeshua to sleep in. But we know that they were actually yacht-like boats. They were bigger boats that had small cargo holds where you can kind of go into the interior and fall asleep. The gospel accounts indicate that smaller vessels accompanied the larger vessel that Yeshua was in, according to Mark chapter 4, verses 35 and 38. Now, the gospel language in the Greek, Hebrew, and Aramaic in Matthew 8:18 clearly indicates the crossing of a small body of water. The original language says lake, not sea. So we're talking about the Sea of Galilee, the Lake of Galilee, if you will, and not the vast expanse of the Mediterranean Ocean. Some doubt the validity of the Gospels and cite the inconsistency of the number of demoniacs Yeshua dealt with. Which was it? Was it one or two? Matthew says two. Mark and Luke says one. The simple answer is that they were two, as Matthew says, but the main focus was on one of the two demoniacs. One was more prominent than the other, so he's the one that's mentioned most and focused on. So it's believed that this main demoniac that was dealt with was a Gadite. By this time, the tribes had been scattered due to disobedience to the Torah, and many of the 10 tribes would have assimilated into the pagan peoples around them, thus living in places where unclean pigs were raised. Also, remember that Yeshua, he says that my mission is to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. The only time he dealt with a Gentile was when he dealt with a Gentile woman and her daughter, where she says, don't even the dogs eat from the crumbs of the master's table. And because of her faith and persistence, Yeshua granted her request. But other than that, he dealt strictly with Jews and Hebrews. So in this instance, he's dealing with a Hebrew, he's dealing with a Gadite. It is believed that this demoniac was a Gadite because he resided in Gadite territory of Gadara. So if you look at a map of the 12 tribes and you see where the territory of Gad is during the time of Joshua, Gadara would fall into this territory. And so this man was also prone to violence, as a warrior would be prone to violence, and his possession was not just a simple one, but the demon said, we are legion, for we are many. And recall that the word Gad means troop or army, or we could actually say legion. So coincidence? I think not. Now, Mark chapter 5, verse 20 says that the formerly demon-possessed man gave his testimony and deliverance in Decapolis. But didn't we say that he was a Gadarene? He was from Gadara? Don't worry about that. Decapolis just means 10 cities. So Decapolis was a region and not a city in and of itself, but a territory of cities, which Gadara is but one of them. So he just didn't go to his hometown in Gadara and talk about this great deliverance and this miracle. He went all over Decapolis to the 10 cities, publishing what Yeshua had done for him. Now, the archaeologist Simca tries to make the argument that in southern Spain that there is a Gadara, which is the modern Cadiz, which is known for its pig farms, its celebration of the dead, and its cliffs and tombs which reside side by side, with surrounding cities which has the prefix God, G-A-U-D, which is the Spanish word for Gad. He also speaks of anchors being found there with Hebrew inscriptions on them, and also points to a cast of a footprint which has been traditionally accepted as by the locals as a footprint of Jesus, that Jesus actually visited there. This really is no proof that Yeshua went to Spain or Yeshua casted out the demons from the demoniac in Spain, but what this does prove is that Gadites went to Spain, that Gadites fled to Spain and resided in Spain, that there's a Gadite community in Spain. And we also know from history that after the death and resurrection and ascension of Yeshua, that some of the persecuted believers, even some of Yeshua's own disciples and followers and family members, fled to southern Spain and settled there. So there is absolutely no proof whatsoever that Yeshua left the Holy Land or that he went to Spain at any point in time. But we do have proof that first century believers and Gadites went to Spain and resided in Spain. So now the locals there even call themselves Gaditonos or Gaditonios, something like that. So historically, the Spanish conquistadors would actually fit the Jacob's blessing and prophecy over the tribe of Gad, and also the Mosaic prophecies concerning Gad as well. So it's kind of interesting. So we see that the tribe of Gad is enlarging and expanding, as prophecy says. We already know, as I said, that the Ibu people are from Gad, specifically Eri, Arodi, and Areli. And I've also written books regarding the Germanic Scandinavian connection to the lost tribe of Gad and their clans. So we know that some of them are Gadites. And it's also been rumored that some Native American tribes have Gadite lineages. I'm currently researching and looking into that. But here now we also have indication that some Gadites ended up in Spain and fled to Spain as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video about the Gadarene Demoniac, the land of the Gadarenes. Thank you for watching. Shalom and Shavuot Tov.